pathways to pregnancy. Oh my goodness, this is exciting. It's not backwards. I've done and the book is always backwards, and I am doing something so exciting. I have to thank Emma Roman because she has changed my life, rocked my world, because we're doing our first split screen interview, which is so awesome. We're both in our comforts of our own home. So let me start by introducing you. I'm so happy that you're part of this post because we're going to talk about hormone disrupting chemicals in our homes, and you're definitely the best person to speak to about this. And so just to tell you all who Emma is, she is a mom and an environmental engineer and green living consultant in Toronto. She worked in the green building field for 10 years, helping large commercial office buildings improve indoor air quality and reduce their environmental footprint. In 2015, she started Green at Home to help families create healthier homes, and blending scientific research in environmental health with the practicalities of our busy lives. And she is a guest lecturer at the Naturopathic College, David Suzuki Foundation Queen of Green Coach, and writes for various blogs and magazines. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, Mary. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, because it's about hormone disrupting chemicals in our homes, so it can impact us in so many different ways. And instead of me speaking about it, I know somewhat, but you definitely would be the expert. So tell us all, what are hormone disrupting chemicals in the first place?
So hormone disrupting chemicals, the ones that I'm going to be talking about are mostly synthetic chemicals that are introduced to our environment at home, in our air, in our water. And these are chemicals that can act in a few different ways in our body. They can mimic our hormones, which tricks our body into thinking that we have hormones, natural hormones, where there aren't any. They can block our natural hormones from triggering the responses that they should be triggering in our bodies, or they can interfere with how our hormones are made and how their receptor sites receive hormones. So I should back up a little bit for those who aren't as into the biology, and this is where you can feel free to chime in too, Mary. So our hormones actually govern a lot more than most people think. I think when people think of hormones, they tend to think of the female anatomy and also reproduction. But our hormones are actually responsible for every gland in our body, and therefore they play a huge role in obviously reproductive health, which we'll be talking mostly about today, but they're also very important for development, our mood, our metabolism, everything from our brain to our thyroid to our reproductive organs. They all are controlled by hormones. So when our hormones get out of whack, it can manifest in a whole bunch of different health impacts.
That's right. So overall health and not just reproductive health, or health of developing fetuses in the womb and developing children in our lives, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
What are hormone disrupting chemicals found in our homes? Where are they in our homes?
So they're in a few different places. Most people have probably heard of phthalates and parabens, and I know you did a post not too long ago specifically on parabens, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And so most of you have probably heard about those, and those are commonly found in conventional body care products. So you've had a few posts talking about body care products, and if you haven't checked those out, maybe you can post your live numbers below, because those were great. They give a lot of really good information on body care products. So they're found in our body care products, which we absorb through our skin, which we inhale while we're applying, and they end up getting into our bloodstream. And phthalates and parabens are known hormone disruptors. They do pass through the body fairly quickly, but they are also found in the blood of most people. There was an interesting study done in the US of a small group of teenagers where when They took teens off of cosmetics that had hormone disruptors in them just for 3 days. They noticed a urine concentration of hormone disrupting chemicals dropped by 30 to 40%.
Wow, that's awesome. I would love to get that site of that article, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The body care products, we know they're in there. They're also in household cleaners. So fragrance is another ingredient that's also in body care products, but is very prevalent in conventional cleaners. And fragrance often contains phthalates as well. So in conventional cleaners that have those nice sounding floral names or whatnot, you're usually breathing in hormone disrupting chemicals. Triclosan is another one that is a fairly common antibacterial that is now being phased out because it is a known hormone disruptor. And borax has also been identified by Health Canada as a hormone disruptor, which a lot of people are surprised about. It's used in a lot of homemade cleaning recipes.
Right.
Yeah. And then household goods. So in soft plastic, like our food containers, in children's toys, shower curtain liners, waterproof mattress pads, as well as sometimes in foam products like mattresses or pillows, may contain flame retardants, which are typically hormone disruptors. And because of the wide use of flame retardants in things like mattresses, they are being used less in mattresses, but they might still be, but they're definitely used in our electronics. And so as these products degrade over time, they end up contributing to the dust that's in our homes. And so they've studied dust, and they've actually found it to be quite high in concentrations of toxic chemicals like flame retardants, which are hormone disruptors.
So you're talking like even the computer that we're on, or cell phones as well.
Yep, and a lot of the cabling. So like any of your entertainment systems, your computer setup where you've got power cords or different AV cords, those are all treated with flame retardants because they are a fire hazard. Right. So they just naturally degrade over time. Yeah.
That's scary. Okay. I never even thought of that aspect. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then how do they impact fertility, since we're talking about fertility in itself?
Yeah. So the thing with hormone disrupting chemicals that is starting to get more attention, and I think deserves even more, is that they don't respond the same way that a lot of toxic chemicals do. So conventional toxicology looks at chemicals and says there has to be a certain dose in order for the chemical to be toxic. And that goes for just about anything. Water is toxic if we drink too much of it.
Right.
But we all know that we should be drinking water. So the problem with hormone disrupting chemicals is that they are being shown to act on our bodies at much lower doses than normal chemicals. And they're doing a lot more tests now of our environmental exposure. So what we are exposed to through our body care products, our cleaners, things in our homes. And they are finding responses in our body that is not expected for such low doses. So this is relatively new in the scientific world, but studies are starting to show that there are links between our environmental exposures, our low dose exposures, and impacts on our reproductive systems. So they're showing that hormone disruptors may impair hormone function and sperm production in men. Again, yes. It's not just a female issue.
Thank you.
They are showing that sorry?
I said, thank you for speaking and addressing that, because people always forget that piece about the male factor, right? You know, we're equally susceptible for sure.
That's right. Yeah. And it's something that a lot of people don't think about. But yeah, the studies are showing that they are impacted as well. Studies are showing that there's a connection between hormone disruptor exposure and impaired ovulation, as well as egg quality in women. And for women who have conditions like PCOS or so polycystic ovarian syndrome or endometriosis, they're not saying that hormone disruptors are causing these conditions, but they're showing that women with these conditions exposure to endocrine disruptors might make your symptoms worse.
Right.
And so those are just a few of the ways that environmental exposures to hormone disruptors are thought to impact fertility. Often these exposures happen prenatally. That is when we are most at, or when we are most susceptible to impacts from hormones is in the womb. But because we are exposed to these pretty much every day through our entire lives, that's why they're starting to look at the kind of long-term impact.
Right, and through the womb, and certainly, through generations, right? So certain studies
Yes.
for different things, it can like be transferred to like 2 or 3 generations even.
Yeah, and genetics play a role in a lot of these things too. So, some people, and that's the problem with studying stuff like this, is because it is such a small exposure over such a long period of time, it's very difficult to pinpoint to a single trigger, which is why the science hasn't been all that forthcoming so far. Mm-hmm. And so genetics certainly plays a role in this. And yeah, what you were exposed to before you had any control, which I think is where we can start playing a role too in helping give our children the best start, starting prenatally and while you're pregnant.
Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, again, back to when someone's having difficulty conceiving, you may not even be conceiving, right? Never mind prenatally.
Yeah. Yes.
So just minimizing.
Yeah. So yeah, when you're going through fertility challenges, like understanding that there are, there are certain things that are going on that could be impacting your body's ability to conceive. And for some people, removing exposures to endocrine disrupting chemicals can at least help you feel like you're doing something in a period of your life where you feel like you have so little control over what's going on. So I find that it can be a good, it's something that you can kind of focus on, and you can partner with some of the other therapies and treatments that you're undergoing, and know that
Right.
you're setting yourself up for better health in the long term as well.
So then let's talk specifics then, right? So what can people start doing like right now, today, to help reduce the exposure without, feeling traumatized by, oh my goodness, I'm like harming myself, right? So like what can someone do without breaking the bank, without overwhelm? Because anyone that's been trying to conceive, they're already trying to do so many different things. And I think adding and changing your whole lifestyle like that can be overwhelming.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's overwhelming for anybody, let alone somebody who's going through health, medical challenge. I absolutely agree with that. So I think step number 1 is to breathe and not to panic. So again, the concentrations of these chemicals are very low in your products. And so the benefit of that is you can start to kind of make changes slowly and as you're able to, without necessarily having to wipe out everything in your home, because that is just not realistic. So when you are starting to buy new products, start reading your labels. Any body care products, you can use apps like Think Dirty or Skin Deep, which I know you've spoken about before on some of your other videos, to help give you a better understanding of what exactly is in those products. The nice thing about Think Dirty that I like is that it actually breaks down the ingredients, and you can see which ingredients specifically have a reproductive system concern. And so if that's what you want to focus on, you can see how those products rate in toxicity specific to the reproductive system. And then on your cleaners, you can use, EWG also has a cleaner database similar to Skin Deep. It's called the Guide to Healthy Cleaning. And so you can look at that and look at products that have a better score. They rate them on a report card A to F. So starting to read labels, shopping at stores that have good buying practices already can help reduce your overwhelm. So you know that you don't necessarily have to read every single ingredient because they've done that work already. So either certain brand buy online or health food stores. I know the Big Carrot in Toronto has specific ingredients that they will not stock in store. That sort of thing can really help you just, not have to read everything yourself. Housekeeping, like I mentioned with the dust, that's something that doesn't cost necessarily anything other than your time. So really starting to vacuum more regularly, dusting with a damp cloth, can help pick up the chemicals that are going to be in your dust. No matter what you do, they will be there. So increasing your housekeeping. And then some more.
Are you talking once a week?
Every week, every week, I would say. Usually it's more frequent for people with allergies or chemical sensitivities, but for this purpose, I would say every week.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, if you're like me, is a lot. So
But see what I mean? It can be overwhelming. So we have to kind of keep it at a place where it's manageable and you still feel empowered and in control without feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm not doing enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. So even if you wanted to, let's say, vacuum one week and do a big dust the next week. And so then you're doing each thing every other week, but you're at least getting, some of the stuff up. And focusing on areas, where you may come in contact with it or it would be disturbed. That's where you end up inhaling it, right? That's the issue with the dust, is when it gets disturbed. If it's just sitting on a surface, it's not doing any harm. But if you're walking through it and kicking it up, that's when it starts to get kind of re-immersed in the air.
Right. Okay.
So you can focus on the rooms you're in most.
Wow.
Would be a good strategy.
Like that with dusting. So yeah, that's going to help me do it more.
If you did need incentive.
Okay.
So those are some of the, kind of low cost, slow and easy approaches. And then things like, if you can start planning for a mattress upgrade. I'm not suggesting that you necessarily go out and throw out your mattress right away, but looking at what you have. If you have something like a memory foam mattress, maybe even vacuuming the mattress itself to get up some of the degraded particles, and also vacuuming under your bed more would be strategies if you have a foam-based bed specifically. So looking at what your mattress has, if it has flame retardants, know that you could be doing some additional housekeeping around your bed to help reduce your exposure there. But it's not like most people think that, you're sleeping on your mattress and it's off-gassing the hormone disrupting chemicals. Certain mattresses will off-gas. They're typically different chemicals than the flame retardants and the EDCs. The flame retardants are what actually settle. So it's not like you're lying there and just inhaling off-gassing hormone disruptors.
Okay, so when you say cleaning the mattress, are you saying taking all the sheets off and vacuuming or doing something with the mattress itself?
Yeah, so when you change your sheets, whenever you change your bedding, run the vacuum over it.
Okay, that is completely new. So I hope you guys get this and do it, because that one's easy and it doesn't cost any money, right? Wow, that's
exactly
tips. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any words of wisdom?
Those I think are the easier ones. I have a whole checklist that goes room by room through your home for things that you can start doing to reduce your exposure. Again, it's not something that I expect everyone to go through and tick off immediately, but it's something where if you have to replace a product, or if you are upgrading something, it's a good list to go through and say, okay, how can I make better choices when I'm able to? So I'll put a link in the comments.
Perfect. That's exactly
where
what
you can get that. that checklist.
So add that checklist because I'm sure everyone's going to be interested in it. I know I'm going to check it out, and hopefully I'm not going to be like failing too much miserably.
And I'll put a link to, I have a fact sheet that goes over a lot of the information that I've talked about here. So I'll put a link to that as well.
Super. So being an environmentalist and engineer, and do you have a website people can go through and contact you if they want to have direct questions or want to do a consult with you? And do you Skype so people are not necessarily just in Toronto? They could be in the United States or wherever watching this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is greenathome.ca, and I do offer consultations virtually. So I've had clients across the country. I have had clients in the States as well. So via Skype or FaceTime. If you are looking for that one-on-one support to help you detox your home in a way that doesn't totally stress you out or break the bank, I would love to chat. You can send me a note and we can have, we can set up a phone call to see how I can help. And if you're another wellness practitioner, I've got lots of resources on specifically to help you with your patients and your clients on a range of different effects that environmental toxics can have as well.
Love it. And that's a great idea. So in the future, I'll put you as a resource in website at Alive Holistic Health. That would be awesome. And even for my personal website.
Awesome.
Everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this post and have learned lots. And so let's do the quickest recap ever in terms of the 3 most important, easy to do things. What are your top 3 for people right now?
Okay, so the next time you're going out to buy a cleaner or a body care product for your home or yourself, read the label. And at the very least, download the Think Dirty app and scan the barcodes, type it in, and take a look at the ingredients that you're using. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, if you can, pull out that vacuum, pull out a damp mop every couple weeks, and just start to do a bit extra housekeeping. And 3, get my checklist and check out other free resources on my website. I've got recipes too to make your own cleaners. Those, I forgot to mention that, but that's a really cost-effective way to reduce your exposure as well, because green cleaners can be kind of expensive. And making them yourself is actually super easy. I'm not typically into DIY, but I make my cleaners now. And it does not take very long. And they work. They work amazingly well.
Wow. So you make all of your own cleaners at home?
Yep.
And do you find it works just as well as the commercial cleaners that people are, used to?
So they work at least as you will need to use a bit more elbow grease with some of them because they don't have some of the harsh chemicals from conventional cleaners. But I find they do an amazing job. My favorite, I can't believe I'm saying I have a favorite cleaner because I hate cleaning with a passion, but is a scrub, and it's baking soda, Castile soap, and water. I've used it on my kitchen tile grout. It's amazing for the bathtub. It gets sunscreen grime rings off the bathtub. Soap scum. Yeah, it's great. It's a miracle, and it's 3 ingredients, and one of them is water. So
that's fantastic.
So those recipes are on my website as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And I hope you all get lots out of it. And again, check out all the posts that I've done previously. And I'm so grateful for having you. Maybe we can do a DIY theme another time in the future.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. And please stay tuned next Wednesday. Oh, gee, I didn't look at my thing. I have a preset interview with somebody else, and I believe it might be a story of hope. And let me just check it out. I apologize. I'm not ready for this. Oh, gosh. You know what? Let's just look here. Next week. Oh, yes. Okay. So next week, I'm going to be interviewing someone who had a stillbirth and going through what she had gone through. And thankfully, in the end, she did have a son. But I think that it often gets overlooked. People don't talk about it. So I'm really, really proud of her to be able to come and share her story with you. And hopefully it'll help you in the times of loss. So that's next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so have a great evening, and I'll see you next week. Thanks again, Emma, for being here, and we'll see you soon. Check out my Facebook posts. Check out marywong.life. Buy my book, Pathways to Pregnancy. It's upside down. Let's do it right. There we go. And we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye for now.